Only a nation of unenlightened half-wits could have taken this beautiful place and turned it into what it is today, a shopping mall. A big fucking shopping mall. You know that? That's all you got. That's all you've got here, folks. Mile after mile of mall after mall. Many, many malls. Major malls and mini malls. They put the mini malls in between the major malls. And in between the mini malls, they put the mini marts. And in between the mini marts, you got the car lots, gas stations, muffler shops, laundromats, cheap hotels, fast food joints, strip clubs, and dirty bookstores. America the Beautiful. One big transcontinental commercial cesspool. And how do the people feel about all this? How do the people feel about living in a coast-to-coast shopping mall? Well, they think it's just fucking dandy.
This is a craziness. This is a wild, out of control. But we shouldn't be surprised. If we create an anomalous situation of exploding profitability on the one side, and a desperate, exhausted population wanting and needing and measuring its own self in terms of rising consumption, we have a lethal combination. And so, of course, in the enthusiasm of business and the banks to lend the money and make more money in a time of so much money and $100 billion here and $100 million executive package over there, we're surprised that they ended up lending to people who couldn't pay it back.
I don't want to sound too preachy, but as a consumer, you have to be worried. Why are they lying to us so much? Wouldn't it be amazing if we didn't have to live in debt and struggle every single month living paycheck to paycheck? If we lived in a country where our desires didn't push us to spend so much? Or at least where we're rightfully told what's in the products that we're buying? So I guess the question to ask here is, how much of your life are you willing to give up just to get the things that you want right now?
Excuse me, your car's on fire. I have a grande venti, soy verde latte with extra whipped cream and a shot of caramel.
I'm sorry, sir, but we don't have venti grande blobbity blah blah.
King of excess. I'm the sultan of sales. I'm the boss of bargains. My credit cards, they never fail. I got a 700 something on my begun score, which means I don't own a thing and I can buy even more. I'm a buffet eating, tabloid reading, lovable guy. I get the best of the best that my money can't buy. It's a wonderful life. It's a wonderful life. Of impress. Oh, I'm the chief of cha-ching. Yeah, oh, I'm better than Julie Andrews. I get more than a few of my favorite things. I spent $700, but I saved 10% on the samurai sword, but I forgot to pay rent. I'm a bottom dealing, system beating, trustworthy guy, and I'll break even when my pet pig learns to fly. It's a wonderful life. It's my down payment. Who wants a llama ride? Anybody? Too soon? Do you need more money? Yeah. Do you need more gas? Yeah. Do you need a bigger house and a big old car and a big old burger on a tiki bar and a big old rocket to reach big old Mars? Do ya? Yes! We want more. We want more. We need more. My Japanese with my American pride to keep the children Giuseppe, I buy 405. I'm a stick-loving, beer-gutting, huggable guy, and I used to be friends with the Magnum PI. It's a wonderful life. It's a wonderful life. Look at my gold-plated thighs. It's a wonderful life. It's a wonderful life. It's a wonderful life. Elvis is still alive. It's a wonderful
When I was a younger man, I actually believed that since food and drink that I was buying was sold in legit stores and restaurants, that it was okay for me to consume it. Sure, I knew a lot of it was called junk food, but forgive me for being stupid, but I didn't realize that that stuff would actually make me sick, and it did. From my late teens to the middle 20s, I was in a prison of acute chronic gastrointestinal problems. I'd done nothing wrong, yet my movements were severely restricted. I wasn't able to go out, and because I never knew when an attack would come. It was intensely painful, and it was horribly humiliating. I had severe problems with depression during that time. I didn't socialize, and it was a very rough time of my life. And the doctors, all they did is run these invasive tests, and they prescribed me a bunch of medications. Never once did any of them ever say, "Hey, Greg, so tell me about your diet." Well, somehow I eventually clued in that what I was eating might have something to do with it. And I cut out all soda and sugary foods. I cut out fast foods, junk foods, processed foods. And I ate actual, real food. And you know what? Big mystery here. All of my problems went away. In fact, I rarely get sick now. Corporations love to talk about personal responsibility. They say, "Hey, look, we just make it because people demand it. They want to buy it. It's up to the individual to make their own personal responsibility choices about what is right for them." Yes, I pulled myself out. But the idea that it's all up to us is not working. And it never will, especially when it concerns our children. The corporate marketing machine and lobbyist-driven governmental policies are simply too powerful.
I turned to her and said, "Honey, I need to talk to you about something." Which I've learned after 5 years of marriage that that's the most terrible way you can possibly start a conversation. And I said, "I want to talk to you about freedom." And you can imagine what her expression was and what her response was. I can't repeat some of it here today. But after we started talking more about it, we realized that the timing of the situation was actually in our favor. Because if there was one thing we were lacking at that point in our life, it was clarity. It was the ability to step back and analyze how we were living our life and whether that was congruent with what we really wanted. It started for us in our financial life. Our financial life had degraded, I guess you could say, into a simple question. And that's, what item in our apartment do we want to upgrade next? Have you ever had this discussion? Do we need to upgrade the couch, or maybe we should save up and get a new kitchen table? Should we switch locations and just get a better apartment, or maybe let's just get a flatter TV and call it a day? This was our financial life at that time. And then it should be no surprise on what our debt looked like. We were in our young 20s, and not even counting the tremendous amount of student loans we carried, we had $18,000 in consumer debt to start off our new marriage and as new parents. We had 4 credit cards, we had store cards, we had 2 automobile loans. We had a loan for the jewelry we had bought to get married. We had a loan from family. I used to joke that we were collecting loans, and we had one of everything except for a mortgage. And guess what? We were house shopping. It was the most hectic time in our life. I had just started a new business. I was working 80 hours a week. Courtney had just graduated college. She was starting a classroom as a new teacher. I mean, there couldn't have been a more hectic time in our life. And we were shopping for a mortgage? This didn't make sense. And as I stepped back and was given that clarity that night from bringing Milligan home, I saw it was because that was the next item on the script that we were living our life by. And it wasn't a script that we chose. It was a script that chose us. It chose us because we were unwilling to answer this question for ourselves. If you're not willing to answer this question in your life, there's somebody, a company, a person, a government, an entity that will be more than happy to answer this question for you. And you'll wake up one day and realize that you're living life just based on a script.
I've got this planet in my hands. You know I'll waste it if I can. Come on, let's give it a twist. And if it all turns to shit, oh wait, let's try that again. My life's too short to have a plan. Here, let me help you understand. First take this drink and this pill. Relax your mind and be still. Let's find out who I am. 'Cause I'm just American. Stupid American trash. I'm just American. Stupid American trash. I've got this planet in my hands. Yeah, I'll try to save it if I can. I'm satisfied with myself, don't care for anyone else. I'm so united when I stand. I get my facts from the TV. Believe in everything I read. It's such an ignorant bliss when the whole world wants to be like me. 'Cause I'm just American. Stupid American trash. I'm just American. Stupid American trash. I'm just American. And everyone's shutting down. The people all so worn out. Wake up, the dream is over. Wake up, the dream is over. 'Cause I wake up. I'm just American. Stupid American trash.